And now we have local author Tim Simpson.
Hello, Elijah. Thank you for having me on your show.
So, the reason why I wanted you on here was I want people to know a little bit more about your books, because I showed the books over there, but I want people to know more about them. So.
All right. Well, I've written about 40 books. They're available on Audible, on Kindle, on Amazon, and Barnes & Noble. My newest one is called Magnum Opus. It takes place back in the 20s and works its way through to the 80s.
Oh, wow.
There's two young men growing up on the streets of Chicago, and they have aspirations of becoming big-time movie stars. But the Depression's on, and you know what that is.
Oh, yeah.
The Depression's on. So they're resigned to just do a little bit of performing on the streets, okay? So they make a little bit of money that way, but not much. One of them is Italian, one is Jewish. The Italian kid, he gets involved with the mob. The Jewish kid, he actually gets to go on stage, so he gets into vaudeville. You know what vaudeville was?
Go ahead and tell us.
Okay. Vaudeville was an early form of entertainment that was on stage because there was no television. Movies were silent. And even before movies came out, there was stage. It was acting. And so they would have comedians. It's kind of like what America's Got Talent is today.
Yeah. If you guys know what that show is.
And most people do nowadays.
Yeah,
so,
because...
just if you had some sort of talent, you get on stage. Well, the Jewish kid gets a job on stage and he becomes pretty popular. And he becomes a comedian and he forms a partnership, and then he grows into the entertainment industry, so it follows his life. But on the same side, his Italian friend in the mob has to leave the mob because he's been set up. So he goes into hiding, and the best place he can hide, on stage. So he changes his name, gets a job on stage, and they both get into radio, movies, television, all the way up through the 80s.
Wow, that sounds really great. I would like to read that myself.
Good.
So, the reason why I wanted to ask you about what vaudeville is, because we have more younger viewers that probably don't know. Because
a lot of great comedians of the early 20th century came from vaudeville. George Burns, Jack Benny, Milton Berle, Jerry Lewis, and Dean Martin, Bob Hope. A lot of the early that were extremely popular and famous came from vaudeville, and they performed all the way up until the 90s. George Burns was acting and doing things at 100 years old. He died in 1996, and he started out in vaudeville and got on radio, got into television, got into movies, and performed in Vegas, and he was a huge star up until the early 90s.
wow.
Yeah, he died at 100. He was born in 1896 and died in 1996.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and he appears in my book. George Burns appears, Jack Benny appears, Bob Hope, and it covers the USO tour. You know, the USO was entertainment group inside the military that would travel around and entertain the troops during World War II. And Bob Hope was really big into that, and one of my characters, they get involved in that, so they travel around with Bob Hope for a while. So it's a pretty extensive, exciting book.
Wow. Yeah, and if you want to get his book, you can get at Barnes & Noble and
Amazon,
and
it will soon be on Audible.
oh wow, it'll soon be on Audible,
I have
guys.
someone narrating it.
And all of his other books are also on Audible as well.
Yes.
And it can also it's also on Amazon and also at Barnes & Noble. So
And we have a website.
a website, okay.
Author Tim Simpson, some public domain works that were not been in print for years. So got a lot of good stuff on my website, and everything can be bought from there or Amazon or anywhere books are sold.
Wow, okay. So, can you tell us what your website is?
It's Author Tim Simpson, ourworld.com.
Wow, okay. Let's switch it back to me.
Okay.